Piers Morgan still posting. If this is a biological female, I'm a biological aardvark. Bro, how you gonna still keep posting this, man? How? It just... I mean, dude, this literally... Yo, this is just like a way to shit on a woman. That's it. There is nothing else going on here. Right? Like, we understand what's on, right? Like, there is no... That's it. That's just all this is. It's being done under the auspices of, like, supposedly defending women, but it's not about defending women. Like, you're shitting on a woman. You're being transphobic. You're shitting on a woman. You're shitting on a cis woman. Like, you're just shitting on a cis woman. Like, you're not even achieving the goal that you claim that you're achieving. They've completely dropped that. And it doesn't... And once again, it's like, dude, I'm a man. Piers, you're supposed to be a man. If we can have that level of variety in our sex, then, like, it's understandable that women have that as well. You feel me? Like, I don't really understand why all of these, like, incredibly, oftentimes effete men who do not subscribe to the traditional, like, rigid understanding of gender norms are fucking running around and being like, yeah, women can't be brolic, actually. Like, they should be dainty. And it's like, bro, bitch, you're dainty. You know what I mean? You're dainty as fuck. You're dainty as a motherfucker. Shut up. You're British. Like, what are we talking about? It's very frustrating. They're running of sketch post as defense now. Fuming Piers Morgan is forced to deny the Home Alone 2 Pigeon Lady for a third year in the row. What? But fans aren't convinced. Oh, fuming Piers Morgan is forced to deny he is Home Alone 2's Pigeon Lady for a third year in the row. But fans aren't convinced he's telling the truth. Like, what are we doing, man? The fuck are we doing? The irony, of course, with all of this discourse is that it proves that sorry. Oh my God. No, I'm getting a bunch of fucking text messages about irrelevant shit. Okay, sorry. My country is falling apart because of these jobless races. Yeah. Next time you go on a show, ask him if he's hiding bird seeds in his pocket. Sure. You keep saying hog. What the fuck does it mean? Because I know you ain't talking about the animal. Hogs. This guy had a great take. Oh, here we go.
You could have me for 24 hours, and I couldn't say no. What would we do?
Thank you, Michael.
If you could have me for 24 hours.
Thank you, Michael, for finding another incredible TikToker. Chatters, hogs are conservatives, reactionaries. They come in all shapes and sizes. They're global. They're a global phenomena. They are all around us. And yeah, they're just right wingers. And they're in every country. Like Piers Morgan is a hog for the British. He's a British hog. That's it. It just means like reactionary. It's a term that I use in this community, especially because like a lot of hogs love squealing. like porky little piglets. What is this guy saying? The majority of likely Democratic voters care more about saving our own country's democracy more than saving Gaza. I'm sorry, but it's the truth. I do not support genocide, but we have to take care of our own problems first. Nate Silver's model says Democrats have a 94% chance of winning the White House if we win Pennsylvania. Shapiro is beloved in Pennsylvania. Is the clear logical choice to stop Trump. Yeah, dude, I don't think you care about genocide. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to keep it $1.50. Like, thank you for this take, though. I think Josh Shapiro has weaknesses beyond like Israel stuff, for the record. But it's cool that you think that that is like the most, you know. It's not like the only thing wrong with Shapiro is pro-genocide stances. Yeah, literally. Like most of the governors in general, most of the governors are Zionists of different flavors, right? That's not necessarily the biggest issue, even though that is a major issue. Even for our, even for the re-election chances of Kamala Harris in specific states. Having said that, however, Josh Shapiro has a lot of other problems. I mean, he has 1 year as a governor, like not a significant amount of experience. Okay. He doesn't have a significant amount of experience, but most importantly, I think that there's a shit ton. There's a mountain of oppo that is going to come out, and the VP pick is not supposed to actually harm the P, right? And Josh Shapiro has a lot of oppo from his career, more so than other candidates. That's number one. Number two, I think the major problem with Josh Shapiro, something that I've talked about quite a bit, is the fact that he was in favor of voucher programs and pushed for a right wing. He pushed for a right wing bill from the Republicans in his own state legislature in terms of taking away funds from public schools and giving them to private schools, charter schools. So that in and of itself is an anti-union agenda. That in and of itself will actually completely cook the Kamala ticket in terms of the way that people calculate, in terms of the way that like teachers look and teachers unions look at the ticket. There is no way to square that circle. Okay. You just can't. It is definitely it's a red line for me specifically, in terms of the way I calculate it. And same thing for Mark Kelly as well. I think Mark Kelly being anti-Pro Act would it does legitimately put take him out of the Veep stakes, in my opinion. But those are significant factors that you need to consider. Jank agrees with my viewpoint. Brother, that's so funny. I don't know if you know this, but I disagree with Jank on quite a bit. So using that in here as a way to like defend your position or solidify your position is the funniest thing you can do. I think that's great. I'm glad that Jank agrees with you. Yeah, also here's how he responded to the Shapiro to the Philly Inquirer article, which I thought was crazy. Okay, here's Prem's take on it. Shapiro shrugs at the 20-year-old him calling the Palestinian people too battle-minded, and then compares 20-year-olds today saying Palestinians deserve to exist to the KKK. Worse, no aura, worst way to fucking deal with this issue. Doubling down on like the anti-genocide protesters and saying that they're fucking KKK.
Supporting a two-state solution now. Can you kind of just talk about that evolution?
Something I wrote when I was 20? Is that what you're talking about? I was 20. Look, I have said...
But that part is fine. Being like, I was 20, that's fine. You're right. You're right to say that, right? Except you can't fucking turn around and be like, and I still believe some of the things that I believed back then. You know what I mean? The goal here is to distance yourself from the takes that you made when you were 20 years old. The goal is not to double down on certain aspects of the takes you made when you were 20 years old. Okay? Because the stuff that you wrote when you were 20 is objectionable. It's like unconscionable. You're like saying Palestinians are barbaric racists who have no other way, who cannot be dealt with in a normal way, and they can only be dealt with in a violent way. I don't care if my voice is changing. I have to fucking keep going through it, and you have to deal with it. I hate that everybody fucking loses their mind. I don't know why it's fucking up. And by the time I read the dumbass chats, my voice probably changes back to normal again. There's just some issues, okay? Please. Just enjoy it. Enjoy it. As long as it's not like genuinely stopping the stream dead in its tracks. Like, as long as it's not like a stream ending F, please just. Oh, I'm so sad. From what I understand, it doesn't even dramatically change my voice that much either. It's just like a minor, like a 1 octave difference. But then we just sit there and talk about it. Anyway. But yeah, as I was saying, your goal here is to distance yourself from those takes, not double down on certain aspects of those takes, to be like, yeah, some of those opinions that I had, some of those opinions that I had when I was 20 years old, please associate me with those takes. That's stupid as fuck to do. Big L, bad instincts. Okay, it's like thinking that there's not going to be a 3-minute ad break at the top of the hour. You know, when there is one. He's not fumbling his chances, by the way. I don't think Kamala Harris gives a shit about his like overt defense of stuff like this. Anyway, you should defend yourself against the top of the hour ad break, though. All right, by subscribing for $5, $6, or for free with a Twitch Prime. Twitch Prime is free. Use it here on your favorite broadcaster that has a helium voice. Here's a 3-minute ad break now.
For years, long before October 7th, that I favor a two-state solution. Israelis and Palestinians living peacefully side by side, being able to determine their own futures and their own destinies, being able to work as they want and worship as they want, and understand the power of living peacefully side by side and how that will lift up both parties in this, or both sides of this conversation. This is obviously a very challenging situation and has been for hundreds, if not thousands, of years. It is my hope that we can see it.
Bro, what? It's been a challenging situation for thousands of years.
Today, where peace will reign in the Middle East, where there will be a two-state solution, where all leaders involved in the conversations will respect the other side and show a willingness to make the hard choices to find peace. And I hope that the U.S. government will always be a partner in peace and trying to find a path forward in the Middle East.
Shapiro shrugs at a 20-year-old, calling him the Palestinian people too battle-minded, then compares 20-year-olds today, saying Palestinians deserve to exist to the KKK. Wait, that's not what this...
Now, can you kind of just talk about that evolution?
Something I wrote when I was 20.
Where did he compare them to the KKK again? He did that before, but he didn't say it here.
Peacefully side by side, and how that will lift up both parties in this, or both sides of this conversation.
I don't think he means before. No, I know that's what he said. I know that's what he said before, but he didn't reiterate that here. Unless he like said it in the fucking thread and I'm missing it somehow. I don't think he said that here. Also interesting that Shapiro doesn't really apologize for what he wrote. Of course, people evolve and change. We ought to embrace that, but doesn't seem like too many other groups of people you could write such a thing about and not at least momentarily express remorse for it. Yeah. If Josh Shapiro wrote what he wrote about black people, he would be one, disqualified, right? Completely. Like, if in college at the age of 20, if he wrote that about black people, like if he said black people are barbaric, like they got violent, they got violence in their blood, okay, it's over. There's no way. It's done, right? That's just the truth. Islamophobia, like white supremacy, is baked in to the core of American politics. So there are way more. There are different ways of being white supremacists without openly saying it. Whereas like Islamophobia still, which is literally tied to white supremacy as well, is oftentimes incredibly acceptable. Like it is just seen as like broadly acceptable. You straight up can just say unhinged shit about Arabs, Muslims, Palestinians. Nah, you can say whatever you want about black people. Stop it in American politics. What's going on here? A Democratic VP writing in a college paper about black people having violent blood using the same terms that he wrote about Palestinians. If he wrote that and instead of Palestinians, he said as a Democratic vice president, he wrote that about black people, he would be disqualified immediately. You're out of your fucking mind. Yo. Like, it's just funny because like this doesn't mean that like I said, white supremacy, specifically anti-black white supremacy, is baked into the core of American identity. So there are so many more like advanced dog whistles that you can engage in. But when you take those dog whistles and just drop those dog whistles and immediately just say like, you know, shit like that about black people, everybody understands that that's racist. And for the Democratic Party, that's completely a non-starter. Okay? Joe Biden is literally a segregationist. What the fuck are you on about? I know. That's why I'm saying that it is not even remotely acceptable. And there are still many ways in which people talk about black people like that. Okay? Hillary and Joe Biden, in different parts of their, around the same time, as a matter of fact, when he was writing this about Palestinians, literally fucking said black people are super predators. Okay? They apologized for it. Not to say that this in and of itself was not acceptable back then. You know what my take is. But now they don't double down on it. They openly would never, ever in a million years, if brought to question, if brought to daylight, now their opinions back then, what do they say? They say, oh my God, my opinions have changed since then. I'm simply stating that level of overt racism would be considered unacceptable if revealed now, even if it was back then, if revealed now, would be considered unacceptable. And he would absolutely just not even be a part of the Veepstakes. When the fuck did Hillary apologize? Oh my God, you don't need to do this anti-black false equivalence right now. If you think that Hillary Clinton playing a role, and not just Hillary Clinton, but Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden playing a role in the Obama cabinet in meaningful ways was not for the Americans to see, like from their perspective, was not enough for the Americans, including black voters, to see that they're like cool with black people now and different from what they used to think back then you don't really look at the tea leaves well enough, okay? I'm not saying that people don't get away with saying anti-black shit all the time. The Democratic Party still does this, okay? What I'm simply stating is being overtly white supremacist like that against black people is, especially for like someone who's not supposed to look bad on and has a microscope on their behavior right now because they are being are being brought into question as a vice presidential nominee, they can't fucking. There's no way that would be appropriate. It would just be completely a non-starter. Okay? You can say unhinged ass shit about Muslims, Arabs, whatnot, and never even apologize for it. Okay? In a way where, like, although anti-black white supremacy is like a part of everyday existence, people can use that everyday existence to basically point to things in the way that they are and be white supremacists, anti-black white supremacists, without openly saying it. Okay? It's not worth comparing. It's not worth comparing black people to Arabs, honestly. No, that's not what I'm doing. This goes to the heart of what I say all the time, okay? For example, Republicans used to just point to things, right? They could just say, we need more policing in certain communities. Nowadays, Republicans say black people are genetically inferior because of their skulls, and that is off-putting, okay? That's off-putting to even other Republicans who are themselves racist. This is something I talk about all the time. The permissibility of certain levels of racist sentiment versus unacceptable levels of like nerdy-ass racism. It's basically the it's the Lee Atwater shit. It's the Lee Atwater quote about dog whistles. As a Democrat, you can't fucking run your mouth and you know, say that black people are inherently barbaric or whatever the fuck. Okay? Even Republican politicians, to a certain degree, do say shit like that still, obviously, but they get punished for it. Do you understand what I'm saying? This is what I've been talking about for the past couple of months. Nonstop. You have to use dog whistles, but in the Trump era, in the Trump era, it has gotten completely out of control. Also, another aspect of this that needs to be reminded to people is that, like, overt levels of transphobia and overt levels of Islamophobia, like openly just being like trans people are mentally ill and must be dealt with, must be killed, right? Does not read to a broader audience as like unimaginably radical shit, in the same way that if you said that about black people in a white supremacist country, that would be like, everybody knows what the fuck this guy's saying. Do you see what I mean? Do you understand? But anti-black racism will always be at the heart of American, will be at the heart of like American existence. And for that reason, there are significantly more complex and convoluted ways in which you can be anti-black, because it's a part of like everyday existence in really meaningful ways. You can just point to the systems that are anti-black and reinforce said systems, and it gets the job done. And many people understand exactly what you're saying, and they can tap in and go, that's right, I agree with that guy, without openly saying the N-word. That's why people say DEI. Do you understand what I mean by this? Like the entire principle of just saying DEI, like saying CRT, saying DEI, saying woke, saying affirmative action pick, is literally that. It's reinforcing that ideology. It's reinforcing the idea that like black and brown people, but specifically black people, are inferior and do not deserve their position. But there are multiple layers to it. In the same way that people just go, Muslims are terrorists. Like there isn't that level of complexity associated with it. This does not mean that like anti-blackness is not at the heart of American identity. Of course it is. It's just different. Do you get it? Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Because anti-blackness is so at the heart of American identity that, like, you know, you can say incredibly anti-black shit without actually openly saying the N-word, right? But when you do actually openly say the N-word, then there's a negative consequence to it. People go, oh, whoa, whoa, chill. One thing that I've always stressed is that, and this is something that you cannot forget, okay? One thing that I always say is that the one-drop rule and whiteness as a political construct, which means proximity to power, being a part of the in-group, was always designed to purposely exclude one group and one group only, black people. Everyone in a long enough timeline, depending on demographic patterns, depending on migration patterns, have been swept under the whiteness umbrella, except for one group of people that will never be swept under the whiteness umbrella, and that is black people, okay? Because at the heart of American existence, the core, like at our very core, it's anti-black, okay? And because of that, there are so many complex ways in which you can be anti-black, but when you actually drop the complexities and just openly say anti-black shit, you will get punished for it. Because everybody understands, like, oh, that's like a little bit unacceptable. By other races, mind you. By other people who also literally share similar values and similar opinions. Okay? That's simply what I'm saying. But when it comes down to it, for transphobia and you know, anti, like, Islamophobia, anti-Arab sentiment, like, you don't need those fucking dog whistles. You just straight up say it. You just rip it. You let it rip. And you don't get punished for it at all. Huh. That's why you got even Ben Shapiro, exactly, saying don't question Kamala Harris's blackness. Like, that's weird and gross, while also ripping off like the most transphobic sentiment. Like in the same exact breath, he's like, yeah, guys, come on, be transphobic, like, openly. But don't you be like openly racist. Holy shit, JD Vance's favorables, net favorability -24, still underwater. So, I hope people do not misunderstand me. I have never and will never say that anti-blackness is not like the number one type of bigotry. It's indigenous genocide, and it is a justification of white supremacists, anti-black chattel slavery. Those are the two formative concepts that created American society, and many aspects of that that attitude still, in a very resilient manner, still very much are a part of how we operate. Anyway, one aspect of the Shapiro thing that will be really fucking annoying will be that, like, Josh Shapiro constantly being considered, Josh Shapiro constantly being talked about through the lens of anti-Semitism will change the conversation away from how shitty Republicans are to how the left flank of the party is actually hating Jews over and over again. It shows division. It is silly as fuck. You're just like reorienting. You're just reshifting people's priorities back to like Democratic Party infighting, which is so stupid. What a massive fucking flub that is.